What statement did the Bucks make in Game 1?
I mean, look, anytime you win a game in the playoffs, it's a statement win, especially for the Bucks, who haven't been great defensively. But the reality is, Tyrese Halliburton has not been the same since his injury. And this is a major thing. 7 shots in 37 minutes for 9 points. Halliburton has to be different because this is the reason why you brought Dame to Milwaukee.
Alan, a lot of people liked Indiana before this series began. Did this change your perspective at all?
No, I still like him. I mean, first of all, why are you guarding him one-on-one? How many times is he in one-on-one situations? That had to change, and it did in the second half. Rick Carlisle made the adjustment. Look, the Pacers don't have a lot of playoff experience. It certainly showed in that first half. Third quarter, though, 29-14, got things back. They actually got back into this game a little bit. I think they made the adjustment they needed to make. This was a statement half. It was Dame time, but he did not play it for a full game. This is still an up for grabs.
You taking Indiana?
I am still taking Indiana.
I'll give you $10 on that. I'll take
A lot of people liked Indiana in here last week. We'll see if any of that changes. Meanwhile, the Clippers thumped the Mavericks in Game 1 of that, a game you saw on ABC yesterday afternoon. It was actually a fascinating tale of two halves.
Yes.
The Mavericks couldn't possibly play worse than they played in the first half of that game yesterday, and then they came back and actually made it a game late. What statement came out of that game to you?
I watched these two teams, and you're right about the halves, and I mean the Clippers really, you talk about statements. They made a statement because the Clippers were a team that we don't really talk a lot about, but the way they're built, you could argue they are built to take on a team like the Denver Nuggets. They got bigs, they've got stars, they have experience, and they have really good coaching. But down the stretch of the regular season, they fell off. So you're wondering, like, can I believe in them? Can I trust them? Then that first half happened. I started believing and trusting in them again. The Mavs have all the same things: stars, experience, and good coaching and good defense. So whoever wins this series, Jay, I think could be a team that could take on Denver.
I noticed this said on face, but I think there's a little bit with the Dallas Mavericks considering Kawhi Leonard did not play in that first half. The Clippers really set the tone with the energy. I mean, they executed the first 10 possessions in that game, and I think you found the Mavs being down, which is why it led to a better second half. I think the Mavs are going to be okay here. And I'll give you some. 33 points for Luka, 31 points for Kyrie, 33 points for the rest of the team.
Not good.
You can't get them to play ISO ball. And if you're Mavs, you have to get other people involved.
It was too much Luka ISO in this game, and he wasn't shooting the ball.
So I think Jayson Kidd's going to make those adjustments in the second game.
Do you agree the winner of this series has the best chance of taking out Denver in the West?
No, I do not. I think Minnesota has the best chance of taking out Denver in the West.
Okay, we'll come back to that. In the meantime, I want to get to something that was
you shake your head.
a very big deal.
Starting already.
We're going to argue all day long. So something of a big deal was made of this on social media yesterday. The Celtics took out the Heat in Game 1. No Jimmy Butler. I think we all expect that Boston will win this series, and maybe easily. But that play right there, Caleb Martin, and it came shortly after a timeout, and it is late in a game that is decided, taking out Jayson Tatum. Some suggestion I've seen all over the place, I think it started with Brian Scalabrine, that this was a dirty play.
Well, can we address a couple of things? Number one, it wasn't a timeout by Espo. It was a coach's challenge.
Okay, well.
Okay, but no, but that
play
goes
had
into,
stopped.
that goes into the context of, this was predetermined.
It was ordered the code red or code red, right?
Planned,
yeah,
right?
Out of the timeout.
If you watch the replay, and I'm not excusing any physicality from Miami. Miami is one of the most physical teams in the league. But if you watch the replay slowly, look at Caleb Martin's eyes. He's chasing the ball.
Yep.
He's watching the ball. He's watching the ball.
Going for a box out.
Circumstantial contact is what happened on Jayson Tatum.
Yep.
He failed. But like knowing Eric Spoelstra, knowing Pat Riley, knowing Mickey and Nick Arison, the owners of the team, I get they're a physical team, but they're not trying to take Jayson Tatum out of the series with a malicious act like that.
But you know why the accusation will hold up? Because it's on brand. It's Miami.
They're a physical team.
They play tough. You can never, ever let up against this team because you never know, because they're always going to play hard.
But look at his
That's
eyes,
a guy
Alan.
playing
He's
hard.
tracking the ball.
No, I'm not arguing with you on the intent. I don't see intent here. I see a guy that's playing hard. He's going for a box out, putting his hip in. Did not know that Tatum was going to jump. But also, how many times do you see a play like that and immediately the player puts his hand out as if to apologize? Like, my bad, which is what he did. And Jaylen Brown said, not with my guy, get out of here. And that's fine. That's what started really the pushing.
Can we bring it back to a fundamental basketball thing real quick? By the way, Jayson Tatum, instead of watching the fly the ball, you got to check somebody. Welcome to the playoffs. You got to check somebody. You got to find somebody, box out, right?
Yep.
Like, that's what they do. They're going to crash the offensive glass.
Yeah.
Drew Holiday also gives him a little bit of a shove there, a nudge, which also I think impacted Caleb Martin. One way or another, it seemed worth mentioning because there was a lot of conversation about it on social media and elsewhere. That's some of the action that we had yesterday. But let's go back to Saturday, where I think the most important and interesting thing happening in round one happened. And Alan was right there with a close-up view. Joel Embiid is officially listed as questionable for Game 2 tonight. I think he's going to be questionable for every game they play the rest of the playoffs. This was the scare we saw at the end of the first half on Saturday. A remarkable play, Embiid throwing the one-handed dunk to himself and then goes down again. How many times have we seen this? He did return to play 20 minutes in the second half. And look, if you need, this tells you the whole story.
Everything.
With Embiid on the floor, they're plus 14. With him off the floor, they're minus 21. Perhaps I could more simply say, if Embiid is on the floor and
they're better,
anywhere near healthy, they win the series. And if he isn't, they lose the series. That might be an oversimplification, but I don't think it's unrealistic. You were right there, you told me, in the tunnel watching him.
Yes, I was literally there as he walked by after the injury happened. And the look on his eye was one of, he was shocked. He was stunned. He was just, eyes, he didn't even blink as he was walking. He was dragging the leg. And the trainers are chasing him down the hall. I went into the back hall and followed. He said nothing. He was absolutely quiet as he was limping to the locker room. And in my mind, I thought, we're not seeing this guy again, maybe not for the rest of the series. I waited in the tunnel throughout the half, and they were about to start the second half. Everybody was already out. And as I stood there, I felt somebody bump my shoulder walking by. It was him. And I said, holy bleep, man. I looked him in the eye. I was like, I can't believe you're going back out there. And he didn't say a word, just kept going. And then when he went out, again, he wasn't the same player as he was in the first. He was dominant in the first half. But his presence alone was enough that the Knicks had to always account for him, had to worry about him. And that is something that I think the Sixers, who, by the way, you saw the way that first half ended, they were dispirited.
There are people who are saying...
Are you going to ask it?
Well...
Are you going to ask it?
So we have a coordinating producer on the show named John Fink, and I would really like to create a segment for him called Overthinking It or something like that, because he sits in our meeting in the morning and he just starts yelling. And what he's yelling about today is the Sixers are playing fast and loose with Joel Embiid. He should be sitting out. There's no way in the world he's healthy. He's risking his knee. He's risking his career. They're risking their most valuable asset.
Sit out USA Basketball.
Be out there.
Sit out USA Basketball. You play this game to win championships. If you miss games in 5 of the 11 playoff series in your career entering this year, it's go time. And I hear if the injury is something in which he can't go, you're going to entrust in your best player to say, okay, I got it. But you got to think about the pressure on Joel Embiid, that the pressure that Joel Embiid has put on himself, that we all feel as athletes or players. It feels like every year we talk about Joel Embiid missing time due to an injury. This is a chance for him to go get it. And by the way, they're getting beat on the margins. Second chance points, offensive rebounds, by the way. You need Joel Embiid in the game. You're getting beat on transition points. When it comes to the half court, Philly's a better team. It's the extra character efforts around the game, which is why you need your star player.
The really sad thing about this is that with Embiid on the floor, they're the best team in the NBA. That's not an opinion. The numbers say that. They had the best record in the NBA this year.
Which version,
in games in which he played. Well, but that's my point.
Yeah.
Is that's not going to change here. Is he healthy enough to play or not? Realistically, it does look like every single play could be his last, and you do worry with his history of injury that this is going to be something that causes concern into next year and beyond.
Keep in mind, this is 3 games now, and in 2 of them, he tweaked the knee and had to leave the game, and then came back to play, and when he did come back, wasn't the same. Keep that in mind. He is recovering from an injury. It's not major. Meniscus is serious, but not like ACL or something like that. So he was able to return within time. But I'm looking at it like this, and I know this was the question asked in the postgame right after this game by Philadelphia reporters to Nick Nurse. Should he be playing? Should you shut him down?
What's the answer?
And Nick Nurse said no. For me, when you think about where he is in the prime of his career, Tyrese Maxey has emerged as an all-star. They're going to have the ability to chase a star. And we all know that Daryl Morey, the general manager, is really good at getting stars. There are names like Paul George, Donovan Mitchell, players like that they can add to this team, have a big 3 and have a chance to win a championship, a legit chance. So why, with a hobbled Embiid, have him play on one leg, risk whatever it is if he could injure it more or just not playing well enough and then take that kind of criticism. Why do all of that? And I'm with you. If he's hurt, don't play in the Olympics, even though he wants to. But next season, with what they could do with that roster, they could really be a championship contender. But if he does something and tweaks it, now all of a sudden we're talking about another surgery or something more.
That's fine.
It costs you time.
I'm just going to say something very quickly. I think we're talking about perception versus reality. The reality is what you stated, but the perception has become over time, we're always kicking the can down the road. We're always looking to next season. And that's a significant thing now.
This
when
time
you start talking about, I understand, but when you start talking about,
I watched that man drag that leg up and down the floor.
I'm not saying it's illegitimate. All I'm saying to you is when the theme is about kicking the can down the road, that is a concern because we're always talking about next year.